So I think with the younger generations coming in, it's getting a bit easier to provide good customer care, but I feel like the younger generation is a little more understanding of how technologies and things like that can help us to do our job more efficiently.
Welcome back to Pest Radio, the podcast where we sit down with the leaders, operators, and innovators shaping the future of the pest control industry. I am Faye Sebioğlu, founder of Digital Karma. We help pest control companies build scalable marketing systems that generate consistent leads and support long-term growth. Today, we are talking about something that is becoming increasingly rare in business: multi generational family ownership. For over 70 years, Mid-State Termite and Pest Control has served homeowners and businesses throughout Tennessee. Founded in 1953, the company has remained in the same family, the same community, and even the same building for generations, build a reputation around trust, customer service, and long term relationships. Our guest today is Ethan Adcock, third generation leader at Mid-State Termite and Pest Control. We will explore what it is like growing up in a family pest control business, how the industry has evolved across generations, the challenges of leading a legacy company in a modern market, and where Ethan sees the future of pest control is heading. And Ethan, welcome to Pest Radio, and thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, I would like to start from the beginning. So, growing up in a company that has been serving customers since 1953, what are some of your earliest memories of Mid-State?
I remember when I was young coming into the office and just enjoying it because it was something different than being at home or at school. And I knew my dad worked here,
Mhm.
and it was nice talking to all the girls in the office, seeing the guys around. It was just fun. I was always excited when my dad got home because when I was a kid, I thought pest control meant you were handling all kinds of different wild animals and all kinds of. I wanted to hear some stories that I never could quite hear, but always talking to him about his experiences. And even as I got a little bit older, my dad would ask me to help him on some termite jobs, getting to handle a drilling some brick and some block at a very young age. So, really positive memories from my younger life associated with pest control.
And did you ever seriously consider a career outside of pest control, or did you always know you would eventually join the family business?
Well, I did consider, but it never really went anywhere else. Pest control isn't the most appealing job to a teenager or a young guy. I painted for a while as soon as I graduated high school because I knew I would probably end up in pest control for my whole life. So I wanted to do at least do something different. So me and three of my closest friends painted, and that's the most fun I've ever had working. But really, the jobs that I would have wanted would have required a lot of college education. I love
Mm.
sports, and anything in that field requires a lot of education, degrees, all these things. So I knew that wasn't realistic. So I figured eventually I would end up in pest control, and yeah, that's how it went.
When did you just stop seeing Midstate as your family company and started seeing it as your future and maybe I think you just became a father, right?
Yes.
So maybe your kid's future also.
Yeah, so probably whenever that first started creeping in was whenever I did start working here full time. I
Hmm.
worked here in the summers after high school and, helped out with big jobs, things like that. I knew the business a little bit. But after I was done painting, COVID hit and I sat at home for 3 months and then decided, well, this isn't going to stop. So might as well
Hmm.
start working and started working here full time for the first time ever. I was around 19, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And really, when I started interacting with people, whether that be customers or employees,
Hmm.
that's kind of when I realized that it was something that I could really grab onto and something of value, something that could be really enjoyable. So when I really got into it, that's when it kind of became more for me.
And what is a lesson your father or grandfather By the way, have you ever had a chance to work even at the summers with your grandfather?
No, he was out of it by the time
Mhm.
I was old enough. So,
Okay. So, what is a lesson your father or your grandfather taught your father and your father taught you that still influences how you run the business today?
well, one thing my dad always says that stuck with me was
Hmm.
it's not about killing bugs, it's about taking care of people. I think that's where a lot of our successes come from is just being able to make people feel good, provide good customer service, and the rest will take care of itself. We all know how to kill bugs, right? And really that's what the business is about. It's pest control. But the more important part of that is taking care of people. And another lesson I learned from a young age was Mid-State or any business is bigger than one person. Things happen.
Hmm.
You lose people, people move, things you don't like to see, obviously, but things happen. The Mid-State as a whole, in my situation, is bigger than any one person, including me, my dad, anyone. And then my grandfather always said, listen to your dad. My dad really took the business from treading water to being successful. My grandpa was a very hard worker, but he
Hmm.
wasn't a great businessman.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so he always said, just listen to your dad. He's got the best advice. So good advice from both of them.
That's also good that I'm sure they used to work for long term together,
Mhm.
and it's good that they know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, they worked together for a long time.
And, looking back, what was the biggest challenge you faced when you first entered the industry and also entered the family business?
Well, kind of going back to what we were talking about when I got into the business, really, it was kind of an internal struggle because being a family business, looking at the history, I kind of see that I might be stuck in this for a while, the rest of my life. So dealing with that as a 20-year-old guy, is this really what I want to be doing? And on top of that, I'm going through all this during COVID. We're
Mm,
understaffed and our business boomed during COVID. So I was working long days, stuck wearing a mask all the time. Life was just changing drastically for me,
mm.
And so there's an internal struggle there of,
So you didn't have, I heard that a lot. So pest control company owners, operators, you all didn't have that life crisis because, you didn't stay at home, think about
no,
what's
we were one of the
going to be
essential businesses. And
high crisis, yes.
yeah, we were one of the essential businesses.
Yeah.
And it was hard to get people to
Mm,
work. We had 8 guys and probably needed 10.
mhm.
It's hot in the middle of the summer. I'm working 10-hour days as a 20-year-old, which was great looking back because I was able to save up a bunch of money. But at the time, it's okay, I'm growing up. I'm just battling. I'm stuck in this for the rest of my life. Am I? What do I want to do? It was just a struggle. But of course, everything played out for the better. I'm glad I stuck with it. So, but definitely a challenge there early on.
What is something most people completely misunderstood about the pest control business from your perspective?
I think there's a big misconception of a lot of people who are in the pest control industry. I think a lot of people see pest management professionals or exterminators, as more commonly known, as kind of these old, nasty guys, country guys,
Hmm.
uh, who aren't very smart. And that's not true at all. It takes a lot of thought, it takes smart people to be in this business. There's a lot you have to know. You have to know how to deal with people. It takes really skilled professional people. If you take a group of 100 pest control guys, most of them are going to be just your neighbor, the average guy you see at the grocery store. We're just normal people. There's no bad connotations to it. It's a really good job that takes some smart folks.
Hmm. I see. Yeah, and I don't think like most of the people, especially homeowners, it's also they don't know that it's also very important for the community health.
Hmm. Yeah, we're very important to even safety and limiting diseases in some cases.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's something that we probably don't think about enough, but we do play a big impact in just general safety and health concerns.
We have talked about how your journey in the industry began But eventually, the focus shifts from learning the business to helping lead it. And that comes with a very different kind of responsibility. So, to start there, what is the biggest responsibility that comes with being a third generation person in the company?
Well, the biggest one is don't mess it up. There's been, three or four people succeed behind you, and now you're walking in, stepping into this new role, taking more of a lead. So just really trying to figure out how to keep the machine rolling. And a lot of times you're dealing with things that you have no prior experience with. So every day I'm coming in and learning something. And another thing that really impacts me is thinking about all the 20 people or so that work here. Mid-State and myself have an influence over not only them, but their families, their lives, their well-being. So you're holding a big responsibility with a business like this. And it's a privilege, but it's also, it makes me a little nervous sometimes. So it's important. And yeah, it's probably my biggest responsibility is just taking care of everyone here.
When you are in that position, things change rapidly, especially now with all the, developments. How do you personally think about what you should stay the same versus what clearly needs to evolve over the time?
Well, I think balance is always important. It's probably never good to be the first person to do something. It's probably never good to be the last.
Hmm.
So figuring out when to shift, when to make those changes. A lot of times in this industry, those decisions are made for us in terms of laws, what products we use. That stuff is always evolving, always changing. So just being on the forefront of knowing what's coming down the pipeline so that we're able to make those changes smoothly.
Midstate has built its reputation on customer relationships for more than 70 years. And when you think about that kind of legacy, how do you actually protect that culture day to day as customer expectations continue to shift?
Well, like we just said, everything's always going to change. That's the one thing that's constant, right? So if we keep our core values the same,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes back to taking care of people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's what we've tried to do for so long. And if we can keep that going, I feel like the rest, hopefully, should fall into place.
Mm. And what would you say has been the toughest business challenge you have had to navigate so as far as an owner?
Well, like I said, I kind of got thrown into this role a little bit
Mm-hmm.
with some changes that took place internally, some issues that came up. So just learning everything is new.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been in here for 2 or 3 years now, but
Mm-hmm.
each day, if not week, I'm doing something I've never done before. And so trying to navigate that, just learning new things, trying to be as much of a sponge as I can be. But some of the bigger things was a software change very early on when
Mm-hmm.
I was taking this new role. That's never easy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, it did go smoothly. It went well considering the giant task it is to do that. But that's never an easy change. And then things like
Change is
insurance.
sometimes scary for the employees
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. It's always easier to maintain where you're at, right? That's the easy
Mm-hmm.
option. But the better option often might require some heartache. And then things on the business side, insurance, business licenses, all that stuff you don't think about when you're on the road killing bugs. I can take care of a spider problem, an ant problem. It's all that
Mm-hmm.
other stuff that kind of scares me. So just having to figure out and navigate those things has really been a challenge and exciting to learn new things.
And sometimes it's interesting to zoom out a little bit. If your grandfather walked into the business today, what do you think would surprise you most about how the industry has evolved or changed?
It would be just everything. When he was running the business, he did it in a way where he had enough money to pay everybody their check on Friday and then was worried about getting money to operate for next Monday. It was a different world. Everything was paper. There was, of
Mm-hmm.
course, no desktops, computers, anything like that. We just got rid of a bunch of old filing cabinets that we had emptied out that had been here for years. So him walking in, seeing that, oh, there's nothing on paper anymore. We've got one bin full of some
Mm-hmm.
important documents, and that's about it. And then the products we use. They back in the day they were doing stuff that sounds pretty dangerous to me. It was just different. It was a different world. Now everything's regulated, safe to put out. We can put a station into the ground without putting any liquid out and take care of a home for termites. The world of pest control is so different. It would just be a shocking change for them.
And on that note, have you personally seen customer expectations evolve over the last 10 years or so?
I personally think things are getting easier for businesses
Mm-hmm.
because my generation, younger generations are different. The older generation kind of wants to see around their house for a certain amount of time. They want it dripping with product that we've put out. They have certain standards that they think we need to meet. The younger generation just wants to hear you say, I've got you taken care of. And what you do with that is up to you. We provide a good service.
Mm-hmm.
We help them when they call in. We go out there, take care of their home. They don't care how long we're out there as long as we do a good job. And whenever they have a problem, we're there to help them. So I think with the younger generations coming in, it's getting a bit easier to provide good customer care. Expectations are lowering a little. Not to say that standards are lowering. That's not the case. But I feel like the younger generation is a little more understanding of how technologies and things like that can help us to do our job more efficiently.
And also with private equity and national brands expanding more aggressively in the space, what do you see as the biggest advantage as a family-owned company still has today?
Well, it's appealing to customers. A lot of people, especially in our area, it seems like people like small town, local, all those things. And that's always cool everywhere you go, right? That's always a big selling point. So that's good. But I do feel like you're genuinely able to provide better customer service. If a customer has a problem, they're able to
Mm-hmm.
call in, get help from a real person in our office, and get into contact with me if they need to. We're able to do that. We're all talking to each other here in the office. We all communicate. It's easy to, well, it's easier to provide good customer service.
When you look across the industry, what do you think really separates the pest control companies that continue to grow from the ones that struggle to build momentum?
Well, it's not super hard to grow. You see people like you're saying with that private equity stuff, these
Mm-hmm.
people are starting businesses just to build them up and sell them. And they can do that in a couple of years, right? They can gain customers, but it's hard to grow without sacrificing standards. There's a lot that goes into growing. It requires more manpower, different. If you start out with a one man operation, you probably don't need all the programs we have here on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to grow, you do need more things. There's more needs. And so it's hard to grow so fast without sacrificing standards at some level.
As a third generation person in the company, is there a decision you have made in the last few years that had a much bigger impact than you originally expected?
Yeah, I do monthly meetings with our technicians,
Mhm.
and that has opened a great channel of dialogue for us. We've never done really anything like that. We used to do probably one company meeting a year. I
Oh,
know.
okay.
Yeah, so that's all we would do pretty much as a group. Of course, we would talk to each other just when
Mm-hmm.
we see each other on the phone, whatever. But started getting everybody together once a month and just talking about some generic training, some
Mm-hmm.
reminders, not stuff that they really need to know, but stuff that is good reminders for everybody. And then also, while we're together, just talking, having breakfast, having coffee,
It also
asking them.
creates team
Yeah,
bonding.
everybody's morale goes up a little.
Mm-hmm.
I get a chance to ask, what are you having problems with? What do you hate? What do you love? What can we do better? How can I help your daily life? And that's really made the technicians see me as more of a source of help other than just a manager or whatever you want to call it. And it's made a pretty easy channel for them to come to me and say, hey, can you do this for me? This is an issue that I've faced. This is going on. What can we do about this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really made our team a lot better, in my opinion. That's probably been the biggest thing that we've changed that's really helped out.
What trends or changes in the industry are you most excited about right now?
Well, I'm excited for everything AI
Mm-hmm.
because we use that in multiple facets. We have a after hours service that answers the phones,
Mm-hmm.
that communicates what the customer needs, so that way when we're able to get in the next morning or that night, whatever it be, we're able to know what they need, address it. Of course, I use stuff like Chat GPT every day to help me with responding to customers, solving this problem, that problem, whatever, right? And actually, we just started using Claude, which
Mm-hmm.
is probably the most advanced one that I've used. And it's,
What are you using Claude for?
well, I've only got it for the last couple days. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
brand but I've already used it to redo our company handbook and kind of modernize that. That's something we hadn't adjusted in years.
That's
And
amazing, yeah.
yeah, some of the issues that it addressed in there were pointless, and some that probably did need to be in there weren't. So use it to do that, updating some old documents, things like that. So anything we can do in that area, that just helps us all save time, be more efficient. And I like saving time because that means I get to go play golf or something. So that's always great. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also another question in my mind. So, as a young third generation, person at the company, how do you win? What do you do after hours?
So I've got a wife and a 1 year old, so that
Hmm.
takes a lot of time. But I was an only child. My parents wanted to have a bunch of kids. It didn't work out, so I'm the only one. And I've got a lot of great friends, and those are like my brothers. I mean, I talk to my friends every day. There's a big group chat of 8 of us, and we're just as tight as can be. So, spending time with them, playing sports. I love golf. I love basketball, football, and I also really like video games, which is probably the least good thing. But I really enjoy video games, so I do play some video games.
What do you play?
Sports games. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Like
all I do.
FIFA?
I've played a little FIFA, mostly college football. I'm a
Uh-huh.
huge college fan, college sports fan.
I'm European, so I only
Yeah.
know FIFA.
Well, I've been watching the World Cup a little. I've never
Yeah.
really watched soccer. I tell you what, I'm enjoying it. I watched the Netherlands play, and their fans are pretty awesome. So that's been fun.
Yeah, soccer fans are pretty awesome, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
pretty
very,
cool.
energetic. The vibe is different, yeah. But yeah, but maybe because I think I'm European, but you just mentioned you like it.
Yeah, it's fun. But now with a 1 year old, watching him grow up is the most fun thing I can do. He's got about 10 words that he's got dialed
Mm.
in, so he's obsessed with that. Everything's a tractor, and he loves Elmo. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun just to talk to him and mess with him. And I can't wait for the next couple of years as we can start playing around a little more.
Good. And do you have inherited something very, I've seen family companies, but yours is like you've been even in the same building, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so you have inherited something that very few business owners ever experience, a company that's been part of your community and part of the same family for more than 70 years. What is one thing from previous generation that you hope never changes?
Again, going back to the values, our core values of taking care of people, that's definitely number one. But a lot of the guys, a couple of the guys, they all will say they appreciate what we do. They like working here. It's the best job they've had. But some like really come to me and say, man, this is really the best place I've ever worked. I mean, I just love it here. And that's the most awesome thing to hear. If I could have 20 people say that, that would be amazing. And that's kind of what we do. We want to create a great work environment. We want people to
Hmm.
be happy. We want them to spend time with their families. We don't really work weekends that much because we value family. So for people to be able to say, this is the best place I've ever worked, I love it here. That's what I hope never changes. So that's a battle because things are always changing. But if we can keep that going, that would be awesome.
And what is the one thing you are dedicated to improve for the next generation?
We just want to be adaptable and give our guys all the tools they need, the girls in the office, the guys in the field, all the best tools, the newest tools, whatever makes their job the easiest, so that we can keep them happy, keep them not working weekends, provide the best service. So just being adaptable, change is going to come, and being able to to roll with it, not being the first, not being the last, staying right in that middle ground of hopefully the sweet spot. So that's it.
And what is like, in the near future next for Mid-State?
Well, we'll see. We've got a full group now
Mm-hmm.
for about the first time in a long time. We've got as many people as we need.
Mm-hmm.
So just continuing that steady growth. We don't have a salesman employed here. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of companies are structured where they have a salesman and then technicians who take care of it. We just give everybody the opportunity to do that. Don't necessarily see that changing. If it does, it does, but that's not something we've got as our goal. But just keeping the steady growth. That's all we want to see. Being involved in the community, growing a little bit every year, and hopefully keep the train chugging.
And Ethan, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story, your insights, from growing up in a multi-generational family business, helping lead Mid-State in today's competitive landscape, and your perspectives. Thank you.
Yeah, hope I said something good. So hopefully you enjoyed.
And thank you to everyone listening to Pest Radio. Until next time.